Here's a completely reimagined, full-length version of the same emotional arc, the slow burn. Life-dividing night when a straight roommate finally admits what he's been burying for months. New city, new names, new details, but the same aching. Earth-shattering tension. ### title, The Night the Sky Changed Color. The apartment in Seattle always smelled faintly of rain coming through the cracked window, and the cedar candle Leo kept burning on the bookshelf. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, thin walls, and a view of the fairy lights sliding across Elliott Bay at night. We had been living together for 9 months. I had been in love with him for 9 months minus 6 days. My name is Elias. 26, freelance illustrator.
Yes!
Perpetually covered in ink smudges and living off iced Americanos and the occasional ramen upgrade. I came out at 17 in a small Oregon town that still hasn't forgiven me for it. By the time I moved to Seattle, I thought I had my heart safely locked behind sarcasm and good playlists. Then Leonardo, Rossi answered my Craigslist ad. Leo was 28. A structural engineer who could wear a hard hat or a tailored coat and look equally at home. 6'3", broad-shouldered from weekend rock climbing. Light brown skin and green hazel eyes that changed depending on what color shirt he wore. He had that quiet confidence of someone who had never needed to prove anything to anyone. He laughed easily, left his climbing shoes in the middle of the hallway, and called me Lee in this low, lazy way that made my knees betray me every single time. We fell into a rhythm fast. He cooked pasta on Sundays while I sketched at the kitchen island. He left the porch light on when I had late client calls. I made him playlists titled things like Songs for When the Mountains Miss You. He never asked why every single one was melancholy. He was straight. Or so the evidence said. Ex-girlfriend in Portland, he still spoke about fondly. Dating apps that pinged with women's names. The easy way he talked about settling down one day, kids, a house with a yard. The whole straight guy future. I told myself I was fine being his friend. I told myself that 1,000 times. Then came the night everything cracked open. It was a Thursday in late October. It's a kind of cold, wet night that makes the city feel like it's holding its breath. I'd spent the day finishing a children's book spread, whales wearing sweaters under the northern lights. Leo had been on site all day for a bridge retrofit, texting me photos of steel beams and the caption Modern Art or Future Death Trap. You decide. He got home after 10, soaked through, hair curling at the ends from the rain. I was on the couch in my oldest hoodie, pretending to watch a documentary about deep-sea creatures, while actually replaying the way he'd said goodnight to me the previous evening, standing too close in the hallway. Voice soft. Sleep good, Lee. The front door shut with a quiet click. He didn't call out like usual. Just the rustle of his wet jacket hitting the hook, boots thudding against the wall. When he appeared in the living room doorway, something in his face stopped my heart. He looked wrecked, not tired. Like someone had taken every certainty he owned and shaken it until it shattered. Hey, I said carefully. He didn't answer right away. Just looked at me across the dim room, rain still dripping from his hair onto the hardwood. Then he crossed the floor in 3 long strides and sat on the couch. Not at the far end like always, but close. Close enough that his knee brushed mine. Leo? He rubbed both hands over his face. I need to tell you something, and I'm fucking terrified. My pulse was already sprinting. Okay? He stared at his hands. I went out tonight. After work. Coworkers set me up with this woman, Lauren. Smart, gorgeous, climbs, laughs at my stupid jokes. Everything on paper I'm supposed to want. I couldn't breathe. I knew where this was going. He'd finally met someone. He was moving out. Or worse. He'd bring her around, and I'd have to smile while my heart was carved out with a spoon. We had drinks, he continued, voice rough. And the whole time she's talking, I'm nodding, I'm smiling, but I'm not there. I'm thinking about whether you ate dinner. If you left the porch light on for me again? If you were sitting right here sketching whales and sweaters and listening to that one Bon Iver song you play when you're sad? He looked up then. His eyes were red-rimmed, like he'd been fighting something for hours. Elias, I left. Made some excuse about an early site visit. Walked 6 blocks in the rain because I couldn't stand being away from this apartment. From you. 1 more second. The room tilted. The whales on my screen swam sideways. What are you saying? I whispered. I'm saying, I think I've been lying to myself for months. Maybe longer. His voice cracked. I'm saying every time I picture the rest of my life, you're in it. And not as my roommate. Not as my friend. As the person I wake up next to, the person I come home to. And that scares the absolute shit out of me because I've never felt this for a guy before. I don't have the language for it. I don't know what it makes me. I just know it's real and it's you, and I can't keep pretending it isn't. Silence rushed in, thick and electric. Outside, a ferry horn sounded low across the water. I found my voice. How long? He laughed, a broken sound. You want the exact moment? Fine. 3 months ago. That night, the power went out and we lit every candle we owned and played Cards Against Humanity until 3 a.m. You were laughing so hard you couldn't breathe, and you leaned over and put your head on my shoulder for half a second to catch your breath. Half a second, Elias. And it rewired my entire fucking brain. I remembered. I'd spent the next week convinced I'd ruined everything by crossing some invisible line. I thought I could outrun it, he said. I downloaded the apps again. Went on dates. Kissed Lauren tonight like it might fix me. It didn't. It made me want to throw up because she wasn't you. His hands were shaking. I'd never seen him shake. I swallowed hard. Leo, I need you to hear me. I have been in love with you for 9 months. Quietly, painfully, completely. But I can't be the thing you try on to see if it fits. I won't survive being your experiment. He flinched like I'd slapped him. You think that's what this is? I don't know what this is. You've lived your whole life as a straight man. Now you're sitting here telling me you want me, and you're terrified, and Leo, I'm terrified too. Because if we do this, and you decide it was a fluke, it will destroy me. And if we don't do this, I think it might destroy me anyway. He moved then, slow, deliberate, like I was a skittish animal he didn't want to startle. He reached out and cupped my face with one large, rain-cold hand. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. Elias, he said, voice steady for the first time all night. Look at me. I did. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I don't have labels that feel right yet. All I know is I have never wanted anyone the way I want you. Not even close. And I'm not asking you to be an experiment. I'm asking you to be my home. If you'll have me. My eyes burned. You're sure? I have never been less sure of anything and more sure of anything in my entire life. The space between us disappeared. I don't know who moved first. 1 second we were 2 feet apart. The next his mouth was on mine, hesitant at first, then desperate, like he'd been starving for this for months and was finally allowed to eat. He tasted like rain and the spearmint gum he always chewed when he was nervous. His hand slid into my hair, anchoring me to him, and I clutched the front of his soaked shirt like letting go would make the world snap back to how it was before, when we broke apart. Forehead still touching, he whispered against my lips. Tell me this is real. It's real, I said, voice cracking. God, Leo, it's so real. He laughed, shaky and wet, and kissed me again, softer this time. Then he pulled back just enough to look at me. So what happens now? He asked. I smiled, small and trembling and happier than I'd ever been. Now you take a hot shower before you catch pneumonia. Then you come to my room, and we figure the rest out tomorrow. He stood, pulled me up with him, and didn't let go of my hand the whole way down the hallway. When we reached my door, he stopped, turned to me, eyes shining. Elias? Yeah. I'm sorry it took me so long. I leaned up and kissed him once more, slow and certain. You're right on time. That night the rain kept falling, but inside our little apartment, the world shifted on its axis and settled into something new. Something terrifying. Something perfect, before and after. Everything changed. My roommate's name is Elias. He moved into the second bedroom of our little 2-bedroom in Chicago's Logan Square last January, right after the pipes burst in his old place in Pilsen. He showed up with 2 duffels, a record player, and a bottle of mezcal as a thank-you-for-letting-here gesture. I remember thinking he smelled like cedar and cold air. that his smile was crooked in a way that made my stomach do something inconvenient. For 9 months, we were just roommates. Good ones. We split groceries, argued over whose turn it was to take out the trash, left passive-aggressive post-its about dishes, somehow ended up watching every season of the Great British Bake Off together. He'd fall asleep on the couch with his head tilted back, throat exposed. And I'd pretend I wasn't cataloging the exact shape of his mouth. I'm Noor 28. Graphic designer, lifelong people-pleaser, with a string of safe. Forgettable boyfriends behind me, and a mother back in Lahore who still asks every Sunday when I'm settling down with a nice doctor. I knew I wasn't straight. I'd known since I was 15 and developed a painful, world-ending crush on my best friend Maryam. But knowing and saying it out loud to the people who raised you are two different countries. Separated by an ocean, I wasn't ready to swim. Elias is complicated. He dated a lot. Tall artists with septum piercings, soft-spoken grad students, one terrifyingly chic lawyer who left lipstick stains on our wine glasses. Every time he brought someone home, I'd put my headphones on, turn my music up loud, and pretend the ache in my chest was just heartburn from too much chai. Then, in September, something shifted. It started small. He stopped dating. He started lingering in the kitchen while I cooked, leaning against the counter asking about my day like he actually wanted the long version. He'd brush past me in the hallway, and his hand would land on my lower back for half a second longer than necessary. Once, when I came home soaked from rain, he met me at the door with a towel and dried my hair himself, fingers careful like I was something precious. I told myself I was imagining it. But it came to a head on a Thursday in late October. We'd spent the evening carving pumpkins on the living room floor like idiots, newspaper everywhere, seeds roasting in the oven, a bottle of red wine half empty between us. The apartment smelled like cinnamon and wood smoke from the candle I'd lit to cover the pumpkin guts. Elias wiped orange slime off his hands and looked at me. Really looked across the flickering jack-o'-lantern. "Light, Noor," he said, voice low. "Can I ask you something and you promise not to laugh?" I raised an eyebrow. "No promises?" He laughed once, nervous. "Fair." Then he went very still. "Have you? Have you ever felt something and not known what to do with it because it doesn't fit anything you thought you knew about yourself?" My heart started pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "Yeah," I said carefully. "More than once?" He nodded like that. Made sense. Then quieter. "I think I'm having that. Right now, with someone who matters a lot." The air left my lungs. I wanted to ask who. I wanted to be brave. Instead, I whispered, "Tell me about them." He looked at me for a long moment. The candle guttered. Somewhere outside, a train rumbled past. "It's you," he said finally. "It's been you for months, and I didn't have the language for it. I still don't. I don't know what this means, or what I am, or how to tell my parents, or any of it. But I know I'm tired of pretending I don't want to hold your hand when we watch TV. I'm tired of introducing you as my roommate, when what I want to say is..." He stopped, swallowed. "I don't know what I want to say. I just know it's about you." I couldn't breathe. "Elias," I managed. "I'm not asking you to fix this for me," he said quickly. "I'm not asking you to have answers. I needed to say it out loud." "To you," I laughed, a shaky thing that was half a sob. "You're absolute idiot," I said. "I've been in love with you since March." His whole face went soft. "March. The night you made me that grilled cheese when I was sick and stayed up watching stupid YouTube videos with me until I fell asleep on your shoulder. That night," he made a sound, half laugh, half groan, and dropped his head into his hands. "I'm so stupid," he muttered into his palms. "I thought you were just being nice." "Elias," he looked up. His eyes were bright, a little terrified. "I'm scared too," I said. "I've never brought anyone home. Not like this. My family, God, it's going to be a mess. I don't know how to do this either. But I know I don't want to keep pretending I don't look for you in every room." He moved first. Slow, careful, like I might vanish. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. thumb lingering against my cheek. "Can I?" he started. "Yes," I said before he could finish. He kissed me like someone testing if the ice would hold. It was soft, uncertain. The kind of kiss that asks permission with every second. When I kissed him back, he exhaled against my mouth like he'd been holding his breath for months. His hands came up to cradle my face, careful, reverent. I tasted wine and pumpkin and something that was just him. We didn't do anything else that night. Just kissed until our lips were swollen and our pumpkins burned low, then curled up on the couch under the same blanket. His head on my shoulder, my fingers in his hair. He fell asleep first. I stayed awake listening to him breathe and thinking, this is what peace feels like. The next weeks were strange and perfect. We didn't label it. We just lived in it. He'd make coffee and hand me the first cup without asking how I take it because he already knew. I'd come home to find he'd left the hallway light on for me. We held hands under the table at the diner on Milwaukee Avenue. Once on the L train, he kissed me quick and shy in front of a car full of strangers, and then blushed so hard. I thought he might actually combust. We still hadn't slept together. Not from lack of wanting God, the wanting, but because everything felt so fragile and new. Like if we moved too fast, we might break it. Then came the night of his album release show. Elias is a sound engineer. He'd been working on this artist's record for a year, and the launch party was at a little venue in Ukrainian village. I wore the dark green dress I'd bought on impulse and never had the courage to wear anywhere. When he saw me, he forgot how to speak for a full 5 seconds. After the show, after the toasts and the applause, and the champagne that went straight to our heads, we walked home through the cold. Arms linked, city lights smudging gold across the sky. Back in the apartment, we did the dishes side by side like we'd done 100 times before. Only this time, his shoulder brushed mine every time he reached for a plate. This time when I handed him a glass to dry. Our fingers lingered. "I talked to Samina today," I said, wiping down the counter. "She's having that Diwali party next weekend. She asked if we wanted to come together, like, together. Elias went very still. I rushed on. "No pressure. We can say, we're busy. Or go as friends. Or, I want to go," he said quietly. "I want people to know you're not just my roommate." My heart tried to climb out of my throat. "You don't have to," I started. "I want to." He repeated, turning to face me fully. Water dripped from his hands onto the tile. "I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of pretending this is casual when it's the most real thing I've ever felt. I don't know what I'm doing, Noor. I don't know what to tell my mom or how to explain any of this. But I know I want to walk into that party holding your hand." I set the dish towel down with shaking fingers. "Okay," I whispered. He stepped closer, drying his hands on his shirt. "Okay? Okay?" He kissed me then, not soft, not tentative. Like someone who'd finally decided to stop being afraid. I kissed him back the same way. Later, tangled in his sheets with the city quiet outside our window. He traced lazy circles on my bare shoulder and said, voice rough from everything we'd just done, "I'm still scared." "Me too," I admitted. "But I'm not running. Neither am I." He pressed his face into my neck. "Good," he murmured against my skin. "Because I'm keeping you." Outside, the first snow of the season started to fall, soft and soundless against the glass. Inside, we held each other like people who'd finally found the right word for home. Whatever came next, the questions, the conversations, the messy, beautiful work of becoming we'd do it together. Honestly, finally, together. The city was still asleep when I gave up on pretending. 3:17 a.m., the red numbers on the microwave told me as I slipped out of the guest room that it stopped feeling like a guest room months ago. I left the door ajar so the hinges wouldn't creak and wake Noah. The apartment was quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator. In the occasional siren far below on 14th Street, I curled into the corner of the couch, knees to chest, and pulled the Old Navy throw over my shoulders. My sketchbook was on the coffee table where I'd abandoned it earlier. Half-finished studies of Hans Snow's hands, though I'd never admitted it out loud. I flipped to a fresh page and let the pencil move without permission. the slope of a shoulder blade, the small scar just above the left eyebrow, the way his mouth tilted when he was trying not to laugh at one of my terrible puns. It was all Noah, and I hated how effortless it was to draw him. Like my wrist had memorized him while the rest of me was still figuring things out. Thought I heard someone out here. I startled so hard the pencil skittered across the page. Noah stood in the doorway to his bedroom, wearing nothing but loose gray sweatpants that sat low on his hips, hair sticking up in every direction. Moonlight from the window carved shadows across his chest and stomach, and I forgot how to breathe for a second. Sorry, I managed, snapping the sketchbook shut. Didn't mean to wake you. You didn't. He patted across the hardwood and dropped onto the opposite end of the couch, leaving a careful foot of space between us. Couldn't sleep. Too much in my head. I knew the feeling. Want to talk about it? He rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture I'd cataloged months ago as Noah speak, for I'm nervous but trying not to show it. I called my brother tonight. After you went to bed, my stomach flipped. Noah and Eli were tight in the way only brothers who'd survived a chaotic childhood together could be. Eli lived in Seattle now, married to Mara, with a 5-year-old daughter who called Noah Uncle Nono and sent him crayon drawings every week. How'd that go? I asked, careful. I didn't tell him everything, Noah said quietly. Just that there was someone. Someone important. Someone I wasn't sure how to have. And that it scared the hell out of me. Swallowed. What did Eli say? Noah's mouth curved, soft, and a little odd. He laughed for like a full minute. Said he's known since Christmas. Apparently I don't shut up about you. Said the way my voice changes when I talk about you is apparently a dead giveaway. He glanced at me, eyes catching the low light. He told me to stop being an idiot and go get the person who makes me stupidly happy. Said love doesn't care about the packaging it shows up in. My eyes stung without warning. Eli sounds like good people. He is. Noah's voice dropped. He wants to meet you, properly. Not as my roommate who crashes on the couch half the week. I laughed, shaky. I'd like that. Silence settled, thick and electric. Noah shifted, closing the distance between us until his knee brushed mine. He reached out slowly, like I was a skittish animal, and took the sketchbook from my lap. He didn't open it, just set it aside on the coffee table. Come here, Cam, he said, so quietly I almost missed it. I went. The throw slipped to the floor as I moved into the space he made for me. He cupped my face with both hands, calloused thumbs stroking along my cheekbones, and when he kissed me, it wasn't careful anymore. It was months of restraint snapping all at once, hungry, certain, like he'd finally given himself permission. I kissed him back like I'd been starving for it, hands sliding up the warm plane of his chest. Feeling his heart hammering against my palms, we broke apart gasping. Foreheads still touching. I want you, he whispered, raw. So much it's been keeping me awake for weeks. I'm terrified, Cam, but I'm more terrified of not having you. I'm yours, I said against his mouth. Have been for longer than I knew how to say. He pulled back just enough to search my eyes. Come to bed, please. I need you close tonight. Need to know this is real. I let him tug me down the hallway to his room. I'd been in here 100 times, borrowed chargers, hunted for lost socks. Collapsed on his bed fully clothed after too many drinks, but never like this. Never with the air crackling and his hand trembling, just slightly in mine. The room was washed in the blue silver of streetlight through half-open blinds. His bed was a wreck, sheets twisted from hours of restless turning. He shut the door behind us, a soft click that felt enormous, like closing the world out. Noah turned to me, eyes dark and unguarded. I've never, he stopped, exhaled, never been with a guy. Not like this. Not any of it. I know. I stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat coming off his skin. We go as slow as you need. We stop the second you want. No pressure, Noah. Ever. He laughed, low and ragged. That's the thing. I don't want slow. I've been slow for months, lying to myself, pretending I didn't want to touch you every time you walked around in those damn flannel pants. Shh. His hand settled on my hips, pulling me flush against him. I'm done pretending. He kissed me again, and it was fire. Hands roaming, mouths desperate. My back hit the edge of the bed, and we went down in a tangle of limbs and breathless laughter when my knee knocked the headboard. Shirts disappeared somewhere between kisses. Skin on skin for the first time, and it was overwhelming, his mouth on my throat. My fingers digging into the muscle of his back. The way he groaned my name like it hurt to hold it in any longer. We moved together like we'd done this before, instinct overriding every doubt. Every touch felt reverent and filthy at once. Noah, learning the shape of me with wondering hands. Me mapping every inch I'd only ever stolen glances at in passing. When he finally pressed me down into the mattress and looked at me like I was something sacred, I felt the last piece of the wall I'd built around my heart crumble. "Cameron," he breathed, voice wrecked, "tell me this is okay. Tell me you want," I cut in, dragging him down into another kiss. "Want you? Want this? Want us?" Later, tangled in sheets that smelled like him, his head on my chest and my fingers combing through his damp hair, he whispered into the quiet, "Still real?" I pressed my lips to his temple. Realer than anything I've ever had. Outside, the city started to wake up. Delivery trucks, early runners, the distant wail of a siren. Inside, we stayed wrapped around each other, trading slow kisses and quiet confessions until the light turned gold around the edges of the blinds. Neither of us slept. We didn't need to. We had years of almost to make up for, and morning could wait. The apartment smelled like old books and the faint citrus of the cleaner Liam always used when he was stressed. It was late October in Seattle, the kind of gray that made the windows weep, and the radiator clanked like it was trying to speak. Noah was sprawled on the couch under a knit blanket that had once belonged to Liam's grandmother, pretending to read a graphic novel script for work while actually watching Liam pace the length of the living room for the third. I'm in 10 minutes. They had lived together for 14 months. 14 months of shared grocery runs. Of Noah leaving passive-aggressive post-its about whose turn it was to buy coffee beans. Of Liam falling asleep on the couch during movie nights and Noah draping a blanket over him without waking him. 14 months of something humming under the surface that neither of them had dared name. Liam stopped pacing and looked at Noah, like he was about to announce he was moving out, or that he'd accidentally adopted a raccoon. Instead, he said, voice cracking on the edges, "I had a dream about you last night." Noah closed the script. Okay, was I a superhero, or did I finally remember to take out the recycling? Liam didn't laugh. He crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped onto the couch beside Noah, close enough that their knees touched. "You kissed me," he said quietly, and I woke up. Disappointed that it wasn't real, the radiator clanked. Somewhere downstairs, a neighbor was playing lo-fi beats too loud. Noah felt his pulse in his throat. "Liam," he started, "careful. You can tell me anything, right?" "I think I'm in love with you," Liam blurted, then immediately looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. "I mean, I know I am. I have been for months, maybe longer. And I'm terrified because I don't know what this means about me, or us, or if you even Noah kissed him." It was clumsy at first, too much adrenaline. Noses bumping, but then Liam made this soft, broken sound and kissed back like he'd been starving for it. When they pulled apart, they were both breathing hard. Foreheads pressed together. "I've wanted to do that for so long I can't even remember when it started," Noah whispered. Liam laughed, shaky and wet. "We're idiots." Certified. They didn't sleep together that night, not fully. They migrated to Liam's bed because it was closer, shedding shirts and hesitation in equal measure. There were questions whispered against collarbones. "Is this okay? Does that feel good? Show me what you like." Liam trembled every time Noah's mouth found a new place that made him gasp. And Noah felt something fierce and protective bloom in his chest at how carefully Liam asked. How earnestly he listened. They learned each other by lamplight and the glow of the city through rain-streaked windows. When Liam finally fell asleep, curled against Noah's chest with one leg thrown over Noah's, Noah stared at the ceiling and thought, this is what home feels like. Morning came soft and golden. The rain paused for once. Liam woke first and traced idle patterns on Noah's sternum until Noah caught his wrist and kissed his palm. Regrets? Noah asked, half teasing, half terrified. Liam's smile was small, but certain. Only that I didn't say it 6 months ago. They spent the day in a bubble, coffee reheated 3 times. Pancakes burned because they kept getting distracted kissing against the counter. Long conversations about what this meant. Liam admitted he wasn't sure what label fit gay by queer. Something else entirely, but that none of the uncertainty changed the fact that Noah was who he wanted. Noah told him about the first time he'd realized he was in love. Months ago, watching Liam fall asleep on his shoulder during a Lord of the Rings marathon. The weeks after were tentative and luminous. They told Liam's sister Claire first over FaceTime. She whooped so loud her cat bolted off the couch. Noah's best friend Marcus responded to the group chat with a string of heart eyes emojis and the words about fucking time. They held hands under tables at diners. Stole kisses in the elevator when they thought no one was looking, but the first real fracture came at the holiday party for Liam's architecture firm. They'd agreed to go together as friends because Liam wasn't ready for the office to know yet. Noah understood truly, but it still stung to watch Liam introduce him to his boss as my roommate Noah. He's a script editor. Super talented. The word roommate sat heavy in Noah's mouth all night. Then Derek from Accounting Friendly, drunk, oblivious, clapped Liam on the back and said, "You two are awfully cozy for roommates. What's the real story?" He said it with a wink, meaning it as a joke. Liam went very still. Noah felt it like a physical drop in temperature. "We're just friends," Liam said, too quickly, too loud. He laughed, but it sounded wrong. Noah excused himself to the bathroom and stayed there longer than necessary, staring at his reflection until the edges blurred. When they got home, Liam went straight to the spare room, the one that still had his drafting table and half-packed moving boxes from when he'd first arrived. The door shut with deliberate quiet. Noah gave him 20 minutes, then knocked. "I'm sorry," Liam said before Noah even opened the door. He was sitting on the floor, back against the bed, knees drawn up. I panicked. I saw Derek looking at us, and all I could think was, what if this changes how people see me at work? What if they think I got the new senior designer position because you're sleeping with your gay roommate? Noah supplied, softer than he felt. Liam flinched. "I hate that I did that to you. I hate that I made you feel small." Noah sat beside him on the rug. "I'm not going to lie and say it didn't hurt, but I get it. This is new and scary and you're allowed to stumble. Just don't shut me out when you do, okay? We're a team now." Liam turned, eyes red-rimmed. "I don't want to be the guy who's ashamed of you ever. You're not. You're the guy who's figuring it out. There's a difference." Ended up falling asleep in the spare room that night, tangled together on the too small daybed, whispering promises in the dark. After that, Liam started small acts of courage, correcting someone who called Noah his friend with a casual "actually. He's my partner," changing his Facebook status when he was ready, bringing Noah to the next office happy hour and keeping a hand on the small of Noah's back the entire time like he was anchoring. Himself, spring arrived with cherry blossoms sticking to their shoes, and the radiator finally giving up the ghost. One Saturday, they painted the living room a soft moss green, arguing good-naturedly about roller technique and ending up speckled and laughing, kissing paint onto each other's noses. That night, lying in their bed, because Liam had officially moved all his clothes into Noah's room months ago, Liam traced the line of Noah's jaw and said, voice hushed with wonder, "I figured it out. Yeah, I'm bisexual. And I'm in love with you. And I'm not scared anymore." Noah kissed him, slow and deep, tasting future in it. Outside, Seattle rain started again, soft and steady against the windows, like the city itself was applauding. They had fought for this quietly, messily, bravely, and it fit them better than any label ever could. Ethan Harper had always been the golden boy of Ridgewood, Tennessee, star quarterback in high school. Married his high school sweetheart Lauren right after college. Bought the little brick rancher 3 streets over from his parents. And took over the family insurance agency at 28. Everyone said he had it all figured out. Everyone was wrong. By 32, the marriage had quietly unraveled, no big blowout. It's just two people who realized they'd grown into strangers. Lauren kept the dog. Ethan kept the house and the silence. He told himself he was fine. He played rec league softball on Thursdays, went fishing with his dad on Saturdays, and spent the rest of his weekends on the couch with ESPN and a six-pack. Fine was fine. Then came Noah Caldwell. Noah moved into the rental next door, a graphic designer from Atlanta. With curly dark hair that never quite obeyed, round tortoiseshell glasses, and a laugh that carried over the fence like birdsong. He was openly, unapologetically gay, and the neighborhood gossip mill ran overtime for exactly 3 days. Before people got bored and moved on to Mrs. Henderson's new pergola, Ethan and Noah became unlikely friends first. Noah needed someone to show him where the good barbecue was. Ethan needed someone who didn't look at him like he was still the guy who threw the winning touchdown. In 2009, they grilled steaks in Ethan's backyard. Argued about music Noah swore by indie folk. Ethan insisted classic rock was the only real music, and gradually the evenings stretched longer. Noah never pushed. He just existed, bright and steady. Ethan found himself inventing reasons to knock on the connecting gate. One Friday in late August, after too many beers and a thunderstorm that knocked the power out, Ethan kissed him. It wasn't planned. It wasn't some cinematic moment. It was clumsy, desperate, and over, almost before it began. Ethan pulled back like he'd been burned. "I'm sorry," he muttered, staring at the patio tiles. "I don't know what that was." Noah, bless him, didn't flinch. "It was you figuring something out," he said gently. "And I'm still here when you're ready to talk about it." Ethan wasn't ready for weeks. He avoided the backyard, took the trash out the front way, and felt like the world's biggest coward. But the wanting didn't go away. If anything, it got louder. Finally, on a cool October night, he marched next door with a bottle of bourbon and zero plan. "I can't stop thinking about you," he blurted the second Noah opened the door. "And it scares the hell out of me, but pretending I don't feels worse." Noah studied him for a long moment, then stepped aside. "Come in, Ethan." They talked until dawn. Ethan cried ugly, snotty crying he would deny forever. Noah held him and didn't try to fix anything, just let him feel it all. When Ethan kissed him again, sober this time, it felt like the first honest thing he'd done in years. They took it slow after that. Stolen evenings. Hands brushing in the hardware store aisle and pretending it was accidental. Ethan's heart racing every time Noah's knee pressed against his under the kitchen table. The first time Noah stayed over. Ethan woke up in a panic at 3 a.m., convinced someone would see Noah's car in the driveway and know. Noah just pulled him close and whispered, "Breathe, baby. We're okay." Coming out at 34 in a small southern town wasn't the dramatic movie montage Ethan feared. It was a series of small, terrifying conversations. His sister Claire found out first when she dropped by unannounced and caught them kissing in the kitchen. She blinked twice, said, "Well, it's about damn time you looked happy," and demanded Noah stay for supper. His best friend from high school, Tyler, took longer. There were weeks of radio silence after Ethan told him. Then one night, Tyler showed up with a 12-pack and sat on the tailgate of his truck in Ethan's driveway. "I was a dick," said without preamble. "I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. I'm sorry." They drank beer and watched the stars and didn't talk about feelings again. But Tyler hugged him hard when he left, and that was enough. Social media was its own special hell. Ethan changed his profile picture to one of them at the county fair. Noah, laughing with cotton candy stuck to his chin. Ethan's arm slung around his shoulders. Caption, "Happiest I've ever been." The likes poured in, but there were unfollows too. Old teammates? Guys from church? Each one stung. But Noah squeezed his hand and reminded him that the people who mattered stayed. Thanksgiving loomed like a reckoning. Ethan's parents still lived in the same farmhouse he'd grown up in, 20 minutes outside town. He'd come out to them over the phone a month earlier. His mom had cried not angry tears, just overwhelmed. His dad had said very little, which was worse. "I want you to meet them," Ethan told Noah one night, tracing patterns on Noah's bare back. "Properly. At Thanksgiving, if you want." Noah propped himself up on an elbow. "You sure?" "I don't want to be the reason it's awkward." You're the reason I'm brave enough to do this at all, Ethan said. Please come. So they drove out to the farm the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Noah clutching a bakery box of pecan pie like a shield. Ethan's mom, Diane, opened the door in her apron, flour on her cheek, and pulled Ethan into a hug that lasted longer than usual. Then she turned to Noah. You must be Noah, she said, voice wobbling only a little. Come here, honey. The hug she gave him was fierce. His dad, Ray, was quieter. He shook Noah's hand on the porch, eyes flicking to their joined hands, when Ethan reached for Noah without thinking. Dinner was careful. Lots of talk about the weather and the Vols' chances this year. But Claire and her wife Jess were there too. And Jess, God bless her, started telling the story of how she and Claire got caught making out in the tractor barn when they were 17. And suddenly, everyone was laughing. And Ray actually asked Noah what part of Atlanta he was from and seemed to listen to the answer. Later, while the women did dishes, Ray found Ethan in the barn. I won't lie and say this is what I pictured for you, he said, leaning against the workbench, but I raised you to be a man who stands by his choices. And that boy in there looks at you like you hung the moon. He cleared his throat. Just don't let anybody make you feel small for loving who you love. Not even me. Ethan hugged his dad so hard they both pretended not to cry. That night they slept in. Ethan's childhood bedroom, twin bed for Ethan. Air mattress on the floor for Noah, because some lines Diane wasn't ready to cross yet. At 2 a.m., Noah whispered, "This is ridiculous," climbed into the twin bed anyway. And they fell asleep tangled together like teenagers. Diane found them that way in the morning. She looked for a long moment, then smiled softly and closed the door without a word. The year that followed was a masterclass in ordinary miracles. They got a dog, a goofy golden retriever mix named Biscuit, who thought Noah was God and Ethan was the treat dispenser. Ethan started seeing a therapist to unpack 34 years of pretending. Noah's freelance business took off, and he turned the second bedroom into an office, painted the exact shade of blue that made Ethan's eyes look electric. They fought about stupid things whose turn it was to take Biscuit to the vet. Whether they really needed another houseplant, they made up in better ways. Ethan came out at work. Most people were fine. One older client asked for a different agent. Ethan let him go without a fight and felt lighter for it. On New Year's Eve, Claire threw a party at the lake house she and Jess had bought. Half the town seemed to be their old friends, new friends, people who'd known Ethan since kindergarten and were determined to love him anyway. At 5 minutes to midnight, Noah pulled Ethan out onto the dock, away from the noise. The lake stretched black and glassy under the stars, reflecting the strings of lights from the house. "A year ago, I was still pretending," Ethan said quietly. "I thought being alone was safer than being honest. And now," Noah asked, "now I have everything I was too scared to want." Ethan took both of Noah's hands. "You changed my life, Noah Caldwell. We changed it together," Noah corrected. Eyes shining, the countdown started inside, distant voices carrying over the water closing, parenthesis, 10, 9. Ethan smiled. To choosing love over fear? 4, 3, 2, being brave enough to fall. 1. Fireworks exploded over the lake. Someone had clearly spent too much money, and Noah kissed him like a promise. Like a beginning. Like forever. 2 years later, they bought 10 acres just outside town, an old farmhouse with creaky floors and a wraparound porch. They got married in the backyard in May under the dogwood trees. Claire officiated. Ray walked Ethan down the aisle and only teared up a little. Diane danced with Noah's mom until 2 in the morning. Sometimes, on quiet mornings, Ethan wakes up to sunlight slanting through the curtains. Biscuit sprawled across their feet, Noah's curls a mess against the pillow. He'll watch for a minute, heart so full it aches, and think, that night I knocked on his door with a bottle of bourbon and no idea what I was doing was the best decision I ever made. Then Noah will blink awake, squint at him, and mumble, "Stop staring," creep, before pulling him close. And Ethan will laugh and kiss him and know down to his bones that the extraordinary Thing about love is how beautifully ordinary it becomes. When it's real, they were brave enough to fall, and they never stopped catching each other.